Cutting out sugar, even for 7 days, has some truly amazing benefits ranging from weight loss to even improved health outcomes. But it's really important that you know exactly what you should be eating when you're cutting out sugar in order to actually see the benefits. Today I'm sharing those 7-day sugar detox diet details, as well as complete food lists and meal ideas to help you kickstart your weight loss and wellness journey. Let's dive into it. My name's Autumn. I'm a certified clinical nutritionist with my master's nutrition human performance, and today's video is sponsored by Thrive Market. More on them in a bit. Okay, first things first, here's what actually happens when you cut out sugar, even just for 7 days. The first is that you have a lot less cravings. When you eat less sugar, you actually do crave less sugar, and that's because our tongues get like desensitized to that sugar, high sugar sweetness. So when we're eating sugar, we actually need to eat even more sugar over time in order to still get that sweet flavor stimulus. But when we have that 7-day clean slate, it is very effective at helping to totally reset our taste buds and reduce our cravings as a result. The second is that it results in a lot easier weight loss. Added sugar is usually going to be in a lot of ultra processed foods, and ultra processed foods have been found to make it a lot harder to achieve a fat loss goal. And that's because studies like this one found that when we eat ultra processed foods, it causes us to eat about 800 extra calories a day. So cutting out those added sugars and the ultra processed foods that go along with them makes it so much easier to achieve a weight loss and a fat loss goal. Another common thing that happens is experiencing less energy crashes. Sugar as an energy source is very unstable. We get these really big highs and then these very, very quick crashes. And that's because when we eat sugar, we burn through it like that. So we get this big spike in energy, we get this crash that quickly follows, and then we need to eat more and more sugar in order to sustain that high and low. But when we cut out sugar, it allows our body to shift over more easily to burning fat as fuel, which is a much more sustainable and steady type of energy source that can prevent those energy crashes. The next thing that happens is that you experience less hunger. So hunger, if you're not aware, is when you're hungry and angry, aka hunger. This is usually strictly the result of a blood sugar crash, and that's because when we get a blood sugar crash from eating too much sugar, we get the symptom of extreme hunger as well as mood swings. So when we eat less sugar, our blood sugar levels tend to be a lot more stable, and therefore we experience a lot less hunger. We also get better sleep. There have been various studies showing that when we have more added sugar, our sleep quality really suffers. Now, one reason why this could happen is because when we experience that blood sugar crash, it causes our stress hormone cortisol to spike, which when that spikes, it can disrupt our sleep. So if we're experiencing a blood sugar crash in the middle of the night, which can be very common, it can wake us up and make us get this little burst of energy that makes it difficult to fall back asleep again, and therefore not get that extended high quality deep sleep. Another thing that can happen is improved mental clarity. When we have stable energy levels and when we're getting better sleep, it is a lot easier to actually think clearly. On top of all that, eating less sugar can result in improved skin. Studies have found that insulin resistance, which is common when we eat a lot of added sugar, is actually tied to issues like acne. But on top of that, when we eat more sugar, we tend to produce more free radical damage within our body that can be reflected in skin looking prematurely aged. And if all of that wasn't enough, eating less sugar can also result in reduced risk of chronic disease. This includes those big heavy hitters like diabetes, heart disease, and possibly even cancer. Okay, so here's how the 7-day detox diet works. Because we are not necessarily cutting out all sugar. That's an important thing to note. This isn't a zero carb diet, because all carbohydrates, no matter what type of carbs you're eating, will break down into sugar within the body. Literally, you can eat broccoli or kale, and the carbohydrates that you eat from that break down and form sugars before they are then absorbed in the body. And even some foods that contain natural sugar, like milk or yogurt, do not have the same impact that other sugars like from soda or fruit juice will have on the body as well. This is why actually understanding the types of sugars to remove during a 7-day sugar detox diet is super important to actually see the benefits. Because largely the benefits that come from a 7-day sugar detox diet is going to come from removing all added sugars as well as very high glycemic load carbs. Both of those have a similar impact on the body, and therefore during that clean slate period, we want to remove those. High glycemic load carbs don't even necessarily have to have any sugar in them, but they do break down very, very quickly in the body and cause a really big spike in blood sugar and then a crash. A common one is like white rice. White rice has a very high glycemic load. And then added sugars is exactly as it sounds. It's the type of sugar that you're adding into a food that wasn't naturally there in the first place. So this might be like adding cane sugar or something that has high fructose corn syrup or maple syrup or honey. All of these are adding sugar into the end result of the meal that wouldn't naturally been there in the first place. When doing a 7-day sugar detox diet, the goal is to really reset your taste buds and set a new baseline. So by removing those really high glycemic load carbs as well as those added sugars, it can help to reset your taste buds to not prefer hyper sweet foods, so that after that 7-day sugar sugar detox, you can then reintroduce smaller amounts of these foods without it negatively impacting your overall goals. So I'm going to give you complete lists of exactly what to eat, as well as really delicious and simple meal ideas for your 7-day sugar detox. But before we do that, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Thrive Market. Thrive Market is a really awesome online membership-based grocery store, and they're on a mission to make healthy living as easy and accessible and affordable as possible. Plus, they're delivered directly to your door, which especially for myself, as a mom, a business owner, and currently being pregnant, this makes my life so much easier. You can save on every order on high quality, zero added sugar brands like Primal Kitchens on Thrive Market's website or on its app. Plus, if you happen to find the price lower someplace else, Thrive Market will match the price, always guaranteeing the lowest price. And orders over $49 have free shipping. Especially as a new mom, or if you just want to try and make healthier swaps for your family, it can be super overwhelming, but Thrive Market makes it really easy because Thrive Market has the highest quality standards in the industry. You can shop Thrive Market's 100% non-GMO catalog with 1,000+ restricted ingredients from all of the products available on their site. You can swap out the junk food for certified organic and non-toxic alternatives with Thrive Market's in-app barcode scanner, all while saving money in the process. And many of the items I'm sharing today can be found on Thrive Market to make your 7-day sugar detox experience so much easier and tasty. And right now you can join Thrive Market today to get 30% off your first order plus a free gift valued up to $60. So head over to thrivemarket.com/autumnbates for 30% off your first order. I'll also have the link down description below so you don't miss out. Okay, so now we get into the exact food list of what to eat and what to avoid. But let's first start with what to avoid, which if you're like me and more of a visual person and you need a printout, I have a blog post that's linked down description below that has printables of everything we're talking about, as well as links to the recipes too. So if you want to check out that blog post, I will have it linked down description below. Okay, so first things first, during the 7-day detox, we are cutting out all added sugar. This is really the non-negotiable. It includes things like cane sugar, raw sugar, brown sugar, date sugar, coconut sugar, agave nectar, honey, maple syrup, corn syrup, high fructose corn syrup, or really if any ingredient ends in the letters OSE, or if it says syrup. Those are really just to name a few. But also an easy way for looking at a packaged food item is to look at the added sugar part of the label. So there's sugar and then there's added sugar. The sugar part is not as important because, as I mentioned, it can be something like milk that naturally has sugar in it, but it doesn't have the same type of impact that other sugars have. What you want to look at is the section that says added sugar. That should be 0. Okay, the next thing that we're removing are certain high glycemic load roots. So there are certain roots like russet potatoes and white potatoes that do have that really big high glycemic load impact. Next up are most grains. Most grains do have a very high glycemic load, especially eaten in the amounts that people typically eat them with. So this includes wheat pasta, wheat pizza, brown rice, white rice, wheat-based flours, even chickpea flour, corn flour, buckwheat in general, bagels, bread, quinoa, amaranth. If you want to keep it simple, you can just avoid all grains during this time and that should do the trick. Okay, next up are certain fruit products. So just because it comes from a fruit doesn't mean that it is going to cause stable blood sugar levels. So all dried fruit is going to have a high glycemic load. This includes things like raisins and dates. And then jellies and jams and fruit juices are the other common things to look out for. And then the last category we're avoiding during the 7-day sugar detox diet is kind of a blanket term of other processed foods. Generally speaking, if it's a processed or ultra processed food, then it's going to be made out of ultra processed carbohydrates, which have a very high glycemic load. So avoiding things like tortilla chips, potato chips, crackers, all cold cereals, candy, ice cream, pancakes, baked goods, donuts, soda, dressings and marinades unless they are 0 added sugar, sweetened tea, sweetened coffee, coffee creamers, sweetened cocktails, beer, wine. All of these are things that we'll want to avoid during this 7-day reset, which leads us to what to actually eat because there is a big list that you're able to choose from. And you can make a lot of delicious things, as you'll see soon. First up is all veggies. This includes things like kale, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, radish, turnip, celery, cabbage, carrots, jicama, spinach, beets, squash, onions, leeks, garlic, and celery root, which really this is a short list. There's a lot more that you can eat and you can reference that blog post that I mentioned that's linked down in the description below. And then you have your proteins category, which this is not only something that you can have, but you should be making sure that you're eating to prevent sugar cravings. And you really should be eating at least 30 grams of this at each meal in order to prevent those sugar cravings. And this includes things like chicken, beef, pork, fish, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, skyr, venison, seafood, lamb, bison, and if you're plant-based, tempeh. Another important factor is including our fats, our nuts, and seeds. This is going to help us to further prevent sugar cravings because it makes us feel full and satisfied. So this category includes grass-fed butter, ghee, coconut oil, avocado, tallow, olive oil, almonds, peanuts, nut butters, chia seeds, flax seeds, olives, walnuts, pine nuts, coconut meat, and heavy cream, just to name a few. And then we have the fruit category, which if you're sticking to whole fruits, then pretty much all fruit is going to be low glycemic load. So as long as it's not eaten in the dried or juiced form, then you can pretty much have access to all fruits. This includes things like blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, watermelon, kiwi, peaches, pineapple, pear, banana, lemon. And then you can absolutely still have starches. There are some that are not super high glycemic load, but you do want to watch the serving size because it can start to get high glycemic load depending on how much you're using. So when it comes to this category, we're looking at anywhere between 1/2 to 1 cup per meal. And this includes sweet potato, lentils, chickpeas, black beans, pinto beans, green peas, and split peas. In terms of drinks, we do want to keep it a little bit more simple because this is where it's very easy to add in a lot of added sugar. So during the 7 days, we're looking at water, unsweetened tea, unsweetened coffee, unsweetened almond milk, unsweetened coconut milk, sparkling water, and whole milk. Now, just because it's unsweetened tea and unsweetened coffee, it doesn't mean that you have to have it without anything added into it. Like I add whole milk or heavy cream. You could use something like nut pods, which is 0 added sugar, or you could even make something like a keto coffee or a keto matcha latte. And then in terms of flavorings, we have all vinegars, all spices, all herbs. And then you even have 0 sugar dressings, 0 sugar marinades, 0 sugar sauces, and salts. So within that category, there's a lot of other things you can have because there are a lot of different types of 0 sugar dressings and marinades and sauces. When I was talking about Thrive Market, I mentioned Primal Kitchens. They're a great brand that have a lot of 0 added sugar dressings and marinades that are super flavorful and very tasty. Okay, so now let's dive into the very easy, delicious meal ideas because oh my gosh, you can make so many delicious things with this entire list while also having it be very simple to prep. In fact, I have a whole 7-day detox that is 0 added sugar, and a lot of the recipes I'm going to mention right now actually come from that 7-day detox. It's an absolute fan favorite program with our entire community. It's such a great way to kickstart your goals. So if you want to check that out, I will have the 7-day detox program pop up right here somewhere, but I'll also have it linked down in the description below. Okay, so for those really yummy meal ideas, let's start with breakfast. Breakfast, we can start off with some coffee or tea. As I mentioned, you can add in nut pods, which I really like the vanilla flavor nut pods. They're essentially a coffee creamer, but it's unsweetened. Or you could add in a splash of unsweetened almond milk, unsweetened coconut milk, or you could even add in whole milk. That's been my favorite lately, or even some heavy cream if you want some richness. For your actual meal, you can make something like our eggs with paleo toast. This is where instead of using typical bread, you use a paleo toast bread like base culture. It's not going to have the grains that are very high glycemic load, so it's a good swap during this time. And then you make scrambled eggs, add in a little cottage cheese in there as well when you're scrambling it up before you go to cook it. And that helps to bring the protein content up so it can help prevent sugar cravings. Other great options include our grain-free oatmeal, the chia brekkie bowl, which is from the 7-day detox program, as well as a Greek yogurt parfait with our AEN granola that doesn't use any grains. Again, also from our 7-day detox program. Now for lunch, I'm a big fan of fast and easy meals. So some ideas you can have during your 7-day sugar detox include things like a cottage cheese bowl with sauteed blueberries and peanut butter. This is a 3-ingredient meal. It's like my favorite type of meal. And it went absolutely viral on YouTube when I posted this. Because you're sauteing up the blueberries, it makes it taste a little bit sweeter than it actually is. So it's a very good transition food item if you're used to adding in more sugar. I'll have that recipe linked up here with that video if you want to check that one out. And then there's also the bell pepper sandwich, or if you're more of a smoothie person, you can make a greens protein smoothie. Or if you really want to keep things simple, I have a delicious simple tuna salad recipe that's also in the 7-day detox. This is one that I often default to because it is so dang easy. And then when we come to dinner, oh my gosh, I love dinner. This is where I love to just really pack in a ton of flavor. You can swap out typical pasta and make zucchini lasagna. This is another fan favorite with my community. I've shared it on my blog. I've shared it on YouTube. Even if you think you don't like zucchini pasta, you need to give this a try because you will not even realize it's zucchini that's used as the base. Plus it's so flavorful and so filling. Every time people serve this to their family, including their kids, they eat it all up and love it. If you want that recipe, I'll have that linked right up here. Other great options include our spice and baked chicken tenders and pairing that with some roasted sweet potato fries. This is also from our 7-day detox program. And then a really great after dinner hack is to have mint tea after dinner. either. Mint is a natural appetite suppressant, so especially if you are really struggling with those sugar cravings, it's a good post-meal ritual to have during this time. And for that, all you do is you take some fresh mint leaves, some hot water, you pour that hot water over the fresh mint leaves and just let it sit for a few minutes, and that's it. Now, most of the things I mentioned in today's video can actually be found on Thrive Market and delivered directly to your door. So if you want to get that 30% off discount code plus a free gift valued up to $60, make sure you head over to thrivemarket.com/autumnbates, or you can click on the link in the description box down below so you don't miss out on that discount. Now, I used to be an absolute sugar addict, but there are 5 simple things that I did to completely get rid of my sugar tooth. So if you want those tips, you can find it with this video right here. Also, if you're new to my channel and you love this science-backed information, make sure you subscribe right here. I come out new videos every Tuesday and Thursday. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you in my next video.